Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, the amazing T Street. I'm laughing because someone just mentioned the way that I sip my coffee, it made me laugh. Can I just tell you, I love coffee, and it was good to me when it's super hot. It's super good to me. This morning's topic: don't skip the process of developing principles. Not the principal in the school. That's AL. This is LES. Principles. Don't skip the process of developing principles. Yesterday, I had the occasion to give a speech in Stowe, Ohio, to a foundation. These are people who invest and who manage dollar advised funds. And I'm often hearing people talk about purpose, and people always say, oh, it's your purpose when it matches up with your passion. And that's true. You'll know it's your purpose when there's passion that's matched to it. But one of the P's that conveniently gets left out of the equation is the P called principle. 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 So yesterday I talked about purpose, principle, passion on behalf of people. And so that it's that principle piece that I think people always get stuck. There are lots of people with lots of passions, lots of talents to accompany those passions that help to advance people's purposes. I believe that to my core. But can I tell you, it doesn't mean much if you have all of the purpose in the world, if you don't have the principle by which you stand to make it last. Most people's purposes vanish quickly when there's no principle by which they operate. So this is the process for developing your principles. The first thing, pause and examine your core. Yep, go to the source of who you are. And the question that you are to ask yourself is, what do I value? What are the values that I hold dear? I don't often give assignments, but I'm going to ask y'all to do me a favor. Drop it, not now, but later, whenever you see this, I'm going to ask you to drop it in the comments. What are 3 non-negotiables that you have? What are the 3 hills on which you are willing to die? What are your 3 core values that nothing can shift or shake you from? I believe it was Jesse Jackson who said, you have to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. What are the 3 things for which you will stand? They're your non-negotiables. When you get a chance, put those 3 things in the comments of this video. The next thing, you have to practice principle in small things. See, what does that mean? Your habits and who you are internally, they don't get developed in full sunlight. They get developed like a good picture in dark rooms. They get developed when no one is looking. My mother said that was character. It's who you are when no one, God, is looking. Your private disciplines shape your public character. It's your daily choices that really help you to determine and to build your principles, the things on which you stand. When no one's looking, when there's no flashes and there's no social media and there's nobody trying to give you praise and applause and all of those things, that's when you know that you are developing your principles, because private discipline shapes public character. The things that you do when no one is looking really starts to determine who you are. Good morning, Erica. Good morning, Jill. Good morning, Stephanie. Good to see you guys on. There's an assignment in this particular one. You got to go in and tell me, what are your 3 non-negotiables? What are your core principles or your core values on which you stand that you are not negotiating on? Because if you don't have some non-negotiables, people will negotiate away your principles. Most people don't fail in life. Most people don't rise and fall because they didn't have purpose. They had purpose. They just didn't match it with principle, the things on which they are non-negotiable. That's the thing that helps you stay at the top. People talk about getting to the top. I don't know about you. Good morning, Jackie. Can I say to you, I don't know about you. I don't want to just get to the top. I want to stay at the top. And the way that you stay at the top is you have some principles behind you. The third step to developing your principles is pushing through the pressures of life. Real talk, pressure tells us whether it's a wish or a conviction. When the rubber meets the road and you got to stand on the thing you say you stand for, that really tells us, is this really my principle? Or is it just a fleeting wish? I wish I had integrity. I wish I had honesty. I wish I had loyalty. I wish. When we meet the pressures of life, we know if it's really a wish or a conviction, if it's really a principle or it's just a thought. All of us think we want to be honest until it's time to tell the truth. All of us think we are loyal until that loyalty is tested. And we got to say, I'm a ride or die regardless. That's how it gets tested when we push through the pressures of life. We come out on this other side with strong convictions and principles. And finally, live it out with consistency. The world is watching, but even when they're not, you are. But when you live your life with consistency, you have an opportunity to model for other people what principles, strong principles, look like. I'll give you the example yesterday that I gave them. In 1997, I made a commitment to kids. Kids told me that adults make promises to them all the time, that they tell them one thing. Good morning, Miss Woods. That they tell them all the time one thing and they do something else. And I was running a drug prevention program. And the kids asked me a real question in 1997. I wasn't a Christian. They said, Miss T, are you drug free? And I said, no. And they said, then you're a hypocrite because you're asking us to do something that you don't do. So in 1997, long before I was a Christian, I made a commitment to about 250 kids in United Way of Columbus, Ohio, in their building on the first floor, that for the rest of my life, I wouldn't drink, I wouldn't smoke, and I wouldn't get high on anything but life. I was never a cigarette smoker. I was never really a big drinker every blue moon, but I gotta be real honest. I love to smoke something else. And I made that commitment in 1997, and I've stood on that. That's one of my non negotiables, that in that area of my life, I would not be a hypocrite. And I've been able to help young people see. Because guess what? The goal of prevention, which is what those programs were about, is that not that kids won't ever use, but what we know is that if we can delay the onset of use to the age of 21, they're less likely to use, and even if they do, they're less likely to become addicts. So the goal was the goal. And so I've stood on that since 1997. And I'll be real honest, there are times when we talk about putting it up against the pressure, pushing through the pressure. If I had known I was going to be a parent, because by the way, I didn't want to be that either, I would not have made that commitment, because if I had known I was going to be a parent, I would know that there was some nights I was going to need a glass of wine. Kids asked my son when he was growing up, my youngest son, is your house really dry? He was like, our house is dry as a bone. My mom is who she says that she is. She is who she says that she is. The good and the bad. She'll tell you the bad stuff too. And she's all of the above, because that's what principles are. So today I'm closing. Whatever you do, don't skip the process of developing principles. Pause and examine your core. The assignment attached to that for everybody who's on, go into the comments and tell me your three non negotiables, the three core values that you have, whatever they are. Practice principle in small things, push through pressure, and live out your principles with consistency. I'm the Amazing T Street. There's absolutely, positively nothing amazing in me that's not in each and every one of you. So today, I encourage you to match that purpose and that passion with principles, because purpose will get you there, but principles will keep you there. Have an amazing day.